Matt here with another Who Are They Real review, and today I'm joined by none other than one of the hosts of Really Scared, Connor Breedlove, and we are here to talk to you about Candyman. We just got back from our screening at the time of recording this, and I gotta say, Connor, this was a hell of a ride.
Yeah. Candyman was terrifying in a lot of different ways. It took the approach to horror in like a literal sense almost, and explored horror in a lot of different ways. And it's hard to talk about because it's not what people are, I think, expecting. And I personally think this might be one of the most important horror films ever created. Like this one, the 2021 Candyman, might be the most important horror film. It has a lot to say. Nia DaCosta, Jordan Peele, they obviously had a lot to say. And the final moments of this movie were terrifying and not in the way I think a lot of people are expecting. There's a lot of fan service, especially in that final moment. And it got me excited, but then I thought about what came before it, and it was hard to enjoy that moment because I was still thinking about what came before it, and I was still this movie shook me to my core.
No, I honestly agree. As we've talked about before, and I've made known all throughout this network, I'm not the biggest horror guy, but I went into this making sure I watched the original Candyman before I even saw this.
Yeah.
I did that today within the last 24 hours, and I just got to say that viewing helped and enhanced my experience when it came to this film, because even today, before we saw this, you and I were going back and forth of, what about this? What about this?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our predictions and thoughts were proven right, and we're not going to really get into those. Maybe if Really Scared does a special spoiler-filled episode of Candyman, I'll hop on that to talk about it with them. But this film was very powerful in a manner of different ways.
Yeah.
And how can you expect anything other when it's written by Jordan Peele?
Yeah, it's very true.
So,
they treat the characters with respect. The characters you want to make smart decisions make very smart decisions. There's a scene where someone's about to go into a very dark basement, and they're like, "Nope," and you're just like, "Yes." Like, you don't see that in horror films, and it's nice seeing that. Like, you want these characters to make smart decisions, and the characters you want to see brutally murdered on screen, that happens. But this movie deals with a lot of real subject matter, and then blends it with this urban legend horror, and it does it very well, where you're scared of this character, but you're also scared of what's happening in the real world. And it's a tough movie. It is.
Yeah. And let's not forget the body horror, because just the body horror, just like seeing you freak out next to me when I know the kind of stuff you've watched in your life. I was like, oh yeah. Okay, I'm not wrong for just being like, oh no, that's.
I made it known I am a fan of body horror, and this body horror that's shown in this movie it made me squirm. It was tough to watch. It takes body horror to another level for sure.
Now, real quick, I want to talk about the acting, because Teyonah Parris, Yahya Abdul-Mateen, just phenomenal. just how you see a guy just become uber obsessed with this urban legend was so quickly, and then how it changes him. He did a fantastic job of getting that across.
Yeah. Yahya was amazing. I thought he was a big standout, especially in the scene with his mother. I thought that was a very powerful scene. He was great. Teyonah was great. I thought the direction by Nia was masterful. Even the score was brilliant.
It felt like any Jordan Peele score, and it wasn't even a film he directed. And I was just like, I'm here for it. And it had the tones a little bit of the original film. I'm like, I'm really here for this score.
Yeah.
But I had, even though this is a dark film, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This film is dark. It covers hard subject matter. It's still a fun ride. It is very hard for a horror film to be woke in a good way. Well, unless it's made by Jordan Peele. Give you a fun ride along the way and still be as creepy as this was.
Yeah. When the whole movie is tackling tough subject matter, but also sprinkles in these like classic horror moments, like the high school scene in the high school bathroom. Still dealing with tough subject matter in that scene, like a bunch of white kids bullying a black girl. But the outcome was like, yes. And that was a very gross scene. My hands were like, oh no. Like it's there's a lot of fun when it's not like very serious.
Yeah. No, and I agree completely. I do want to reiterate before we get into our ratings, if you haven't seen the original Candyman, like I had it before today, do not go see this film until you watch the original. That's just my opinion. Connor, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think with how this is virtually a direct sequel. I
think seeing the original will enhance your viewing. I don't think it's necessary. I think they do enough with it where it can stand on its own. But if you want to know more about the backstory during some key moments, seeing that original 1992 Candyman will definitely enhance your viewing, because you can point out things and be like, I know that.
Yeah. Well, I'll give my rating first, and I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. I really, really dug this film. Nia DaCosta kills it. Jordan Peele and her on the script were great, and I really loved it. But Connor, what are you giving this film?
I'm giving it a 5 out of 5.
Wow, perfect score.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people might be upset. You're going to have that toxic fan base that's going to be like, why does every movie need to be woke? It's at the end of the day, this is a movie produced and co-written by Jordan Peele. So I don't know what you're expecting. It's going to deal with some tough subject matter. I said it at the top of this review. I believe this is a very important film and one of the most important horror films. I think everybody needs to see it because it's even though it's a horror film dealing with, a kind of a boogeyman, it's very real. Some of the stuff it tackles. So yeah, 5 out of 5.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Candyman, check it out in theaters this Friday. I'm Matt. This is Connor, co-host Really Scared, which will be returning sooner rather than later. And this was another Who Are They Real review. Remember, like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff right here at What Real Entertainment, and we'll see you later.